Alright guys, here's the deal. We're going to discuss the thumbnails real quick for the Still Life project. Now all of you should have found your reference photo that you would like to use for the Still Life project. So the one that I printed out here, pretty basic, it's some geometric forms. You can choose whatever you like for this reference photo as long as it's a non-moving object that could be used as a still life reference, something that preferably you could set on the table as a reference. Okay, so make sure you choose something that you're interested in, otherwise this project's going to be pretty boring. Now this one's pretty basic, but I chose this just so that it would be easy to show you guys an example of how thumbnails work. So you always want to draw a thumbnail so that you know where to start on your paper, as well as the composition and what shapes you're going to draw. So for example, I have this reference photo here. I have a choice that I need to make. I need to decide if I want it to be landscape orientation or if I want to try drawing it portrait orientation. Now, since this cone is a little bit taller, I'm going to start with portrait just to see how it works out. And I'm just going to, now these thumbnails, they shouldn't take more than 5 minutes each. So we're just kind of practicing with where we're going to draw the shapes. We're going to practice with the light source, meaning where is that light coming from and how does it affect the shadows on the project. Okay, so I got that cone shape in the front and I got this form in the back. It's triangular. Now it doesn't have to be exact, especially with these thumbnails. We're just going to try to figure out how we want the final to look. So, and as you can see on the reference photo, the light source is going in this direction, right? Because we got the shadows over here on the left. So what I'm already finding out with this thumbnail, I don't like how far over to the left I drew it, okay? Because now, once we get those shadows in there, I'm starting to find that I have too much empty space here on the right, okay? So now I'm gonna try this again. I'm going to stick with that portrait orientation, but on my second thumbnail, I'm now going to try to give a little more room on the left so that we have more room for those shadows. So again, I got my cone in the front, triangular shape is in the back. And then you could add the shadows. Now again, notice how these are going really fast, right? You don't want the thumbnails to take too long. This is very much like just brainstorming to figure out how you're gonna do it. Okay, so that's a little bit better. I like how it's over a little more, but now I'm starting to think that if this was the size of my paper, these shapes would be too small. So on my third thumbnail, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to draw that cone a little bit larger. Okay, so there's the cone. It's a little bit larger. So I got that triangular form behind it. Now I can experiment with the shadows. And again, this isn't your final project, okay? So there's no need to work that slowly. We're doing this pretty quickly just to figure out how we want to place these forms. All right, so now you can see I got 1, 2, 3 different thumbnails already, and we're only, 50 minutes into the, or not 50 minutes, but 50 seconds into this exercise, okay? And then now I got one more, but I'm pretty happy with this. I think the only thing I would do now is maybe even enlarge this a tad bit more or shift them up just a bit. So I'm going to try to enlarge it a little bit more. But I still like that placement off to the right a little bit to leave room for the shadows. I'm even gonna maybe enlarge the triangular shape just a tad. All right, I think I like that one better. Okay, so another thing with your thumbnails that you want to address, like I was saying earlier, is that light source. So if you look at your reference photo, you could see the light's coming in this direction, so this side of the triangle is nice and dark. Now this is not a rounded form in the background, right? It's got these straight edges, so this is going to be nice and bright, that's going to be dark. With the cone, it's going to be a little different because it's going to be a gradual progression from dark values to light values here. So along the edge on this one, we're going to get it nice and dark. Now on your final, you're going to take a lot of time with this, okay? But for these thumbnails, we're just quickly trying to map out where those shadows are going to be. So I'm not even going to take my time blending too much. Okay. So there you go. Now you got a thumbnail, right? So we got our reference photo, we got 4 different thumbnails, and I've decided that by the 4th one, I've pretty much got this figured out, and that's the direction that I'm going to go with my final project. Okay. Now, this week, we're focusing on finding your reference photo and completing all 4 thumbnails, so that next week, when you start your final project, you're going to know exactly what you're going to draw and how you're going to draw it on your final paper. All right? So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Thanks, guys.